in a special election to replace Adams. New Yorkers would favor former Governor Andrew Cuomo.
So you heard that right. New Yorkers are so upset at their mayor, they would rather vote in the former disgraced governor of New York State to replace him. Let's talk about it. So we are back in the sanctuary city of New York, where the mayor of New York City is suffering from some of the worst polls in a generation. Now, the reason why the mayor is suffering is because of the migrant crisis.
A father and his children sit in the cold and ask for help. This is not new to New Yorkers, but to many it is worse, and some are blaming Mayor Adams.
Oh, he's doing an awful job.
It has been a year of careening crises for Mayor Eric Adams. The flood of asylum seekers from the southern border has consumed his administration. So overwhelming, it has gutted budgets and diverted city workers. And Mayor Adams now is paying the price among voters.
This is bad. In fact, it's the worst ever rating for a mayor.
Yeah, a Quinnipiac College poll shows that a record 58% of registered New York City voters disapprove of the job Adams is doing. Just 28% approve. Among the most important issues, 72% disapprove of his handling of the homeless issue, 66% say he hasn't handled the migrant crisis well, and 60% say Adams, a former police officer, hasn't done enough about crime.
Clearly, one of the things that people are responding to is what they see around them. Homelessness on the streets, fear of crime.
Now, don't feel too sorry for Mayor Adams. When migrants were initially bused here from Texas, Adams got in front of the cameras and said, hey, we're happy to be a right to shelter state, meaning that any person from anywhere in the world can come to New York and say, hey, I don't have a place to stay, and New York will provide housing at the city's cost. So Mayor Adams was extremely happy and said, hey, we're going to take care of the migrants, bring them here. Let me even stop talking about it. Listen to what he said in front of the cameras back then.
As the mayor of the city of New York, I don't, weigh into immigration issues, border issues. I have to provide services for families that are here, and that's what we're going to do. And that's what our responsibility as a city. I'm proud that this is a right to shelter state, and we're going to continue to do that. This is horrific when you think about what the governor is doing, the governor of Texas, after a month of traveling across the border, placing on the bus with no direction to come here to New York. And New York is a city that has always represented the democratic values and the values of our city, of showing our compassion. And that's what we're doing today.
So what did the city do? They started putting migrants up in hotels. Now, that is a very, very expensive proposition, costing a lot of money. And it was so great for the migrants that when the city said, we don't really have enough money to continue to put you in 5-star hotels, the migrants refused to leave. You think I'm joking.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Moore. We begin with breaking news. Some asylum seekers are pushing back on a plan to move them to a new shelter in Brooklyn. Some even refusing to leave the Midtown Hotel where the city has been housing them. CBS 2's Tim McNicholas is live at the Watson at 57th and 10th. So, Tim, what's happening out there?
Jessica, the city wants to move some asylum seekers from the Watson Hotel to a new shelter at the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal in Red Hook. Many of the men gathered behind me are saying they won't leave. The MTA is sending buses here. Migrants gathered outside the hotel are saying they won't board them. They say they're concerned about conditions at the new shelter. They say there's not enough space, they don't want to stay in Red Hook, and they're concerned they'll be cold there. Some asylum seekers got on with their belongings while other migrants shouted for them to stay. Earlier this month, Mayor Eric Adams announced a plan to move single men from the Watson Hotel to a heated shelter at the cruise terminal. These migrants are protesting that plan here alongside immigrant rights advocates.
The Hotel Watson had told them to get on buses at 7:30 this morning to go to the Red Hook Cruise Terminal, where the conditions are as bad or worse than at the Randall's Island refugee camp that was open a few months ago. And the men came immediately back and warned the other residents of the hotel and told them not to get on these buses.
Now, some of these migrants have been crowding around the door trying to get back into the Watson Hotel, but the hotel is not letting everyone back in at the moment. It's not clear if they will.
Now, this was wonderful for migrants, right? You just come, walk through hell, you bust up from Texas and they put you at a 5-star hotel in Midtown Manhattan. That's a great proposition for you, right? And then they're going to tell you they want you to go to a refugee camp or they want you to go to the cruise terminal. You're like, hell no. Continue to pay for this 5-star hotel. You said you were going to take care of us. It's a right to a shelter state. So then reality set in. And understand this, people. You have 100,000 people coming across the border, coming to New York City. They have no jobs. They have no money. And the city is taking care of all of their needs. Food, housing, clothing. It's wintertime up there now. So that cost of taking care of 100,000 people off rip, that was enough to bankrupt the city. And as the mayor said, it was enough to destroy New York City.
We turned this city around in 20 months. And then what happened? Started with a madman down in Texas, decided he wanted to bus people up to New York City. 110,000 migrants. We have to feed, clothe, house, educate the children, wash their laundry sheets, give them everything they need, health care. And this team here, we stated, let's do everything possible before we have to push it out into neighborhoods and communities. Month after month, I stood up and I said, this is going to come to a neighborhood near you. Well, we're here. We're here. We're getting no support on this national crisis, and we're receiving no support. And let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. One time we were just getting Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian-speaking coming through Mexico. Now we're getting Western Africa. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border and come into New York City. And everyone is saying it's New York City's problem.
So now the mayor, saying, hey, we just don't got the money to pay for this, went and begged the Biden administration, please give us money so we can put the migrants in 5-star hotels. But nobody's stupid. No one's saying you got to put them up in 5-star hotels. And you can say whatever you want about Biden and Republicans. They're still in New York. Well, listen, we didn't tell you to put them up in 5-star hotels. We said you could take care of them, but we're not going to pay you for that. So Biden told Adams, no, we're not giving you billions of dollars to put the migrants up in 5-star hotels. That's not going to happen.
Mayor Adams sending out a disheartening message today about the ongoing migrant crisis.
Now, the mayor says that he isn't and didn't leave his meeting in D.C. with any optimism. He claims no hope is on the way right now. News 4's Melissa Russo in the newsroom with more on those pretty strong comments. Melissa.
Well, it's not an easy place for Mayor Adams to be, Natalie, traveling down to Washington for the 10th time yesterday to try to get more aid for migrants and the humanitarian crisis here, and then leaving without any good news. Ordinarily, he would be diplomatic and he would say, oh, they're working on it, which is what he said yesterday while he was still in D.C. But today, the mayor flat out admitted that he left empty-handed.
I did not leave with optimism. I left with the cold reality that help is not on the way in the immediate future.
Those words today, a far cry from what Mayor Eric Adams posted last night when he said it had been a very productive day in Washington, D.C. He met with New York lawmakers, but also with Biden administration officials.
We did not walk out from D.C. with any level of optimism that anything is going to drastically change. It is clear that for the time being, this crisis is going to be carried by the cities.
So now who do you turn to? The mayor is under federal investigation for some of the issues going on with his campaign. So New Yorkers are hoping that, hey, if he gets indicted, we want him out. And who do you think they want to replace him? Well, you just remember from the beginning of the video, the former governor, Andrew Cuomo. Now, you guys got to remember, Andrew Cuomo was thrown out because of the whole sexual harassment scandal. But New Yorkers are saying we'd rather have him than who we got now.
A survey by Quinnipiac University puts his approval rating at just 28%. According to another poll, nearly 2/3 of New York voters believe Adams should resign if he's indicted, and that in a special election to replace Adams, New Yorkers would favor former Governor Andrew Cuomo. In fact, Cuomo would lead with 22%, followed by public advocate Jumaane Williams and former Sanitation Commissioner Catherine Garcia.
So now I'm throwing it to you. Should the federal government give New York billions of dollars to help them feed, clothe, and house migrants? Now remember, New York is unique in this way because no other city does this. No other city pays for migrants to be in hotels and these type of things. This is something unique for New York because New York has what's known as the right to shelter law. So in other words, if you come and ask for a place to stay and say you're homeless, the city by law has to provide that. But should the federal government now have to provide that money because the city wants to be so generous? Now, from my perspective, no. The city, if you want to be a right to shelters place, then you pay for that, right? We'll give you funds just like we'll give everybody else. But if you want to pass this unique law so you can be super socialist up there, then that's on you. You got to pay for that. And I think that's what New York City wants. New York City is like, give us the money so we can do it the way we want to do it. And I think the federal government, Biden and the Republicans are like, that's not happening. That's not happening. Well, tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. Tell me where you disagree. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.